Well, good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call our meeting to order. And the first item is we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, first item on the agenda will be our June minutes and July claim docket, because everybody at the table had a chance to review those items.
I have looked at the June minutes and July claim dockets. I make a motion that we accept them.
Okay, I have a first motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we accepted June and July. Next on there, I'm gonna close our normal business meeting and open a public hearing on additional appropriations. Jenny?
This was in the Republican. It's for $3,000 to hire the deputy clerk to put in her salary.
Okay, any public comments on our appropriation? All right, no for or against comments?
I have no problem.
We need to vote on and adopt that now, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay, so any questions from the council on this $3,000 for our deputy clerk treasurer?
I make a motion that we accept the $3,000 for the deputy clerk on the appropriation.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next, we will move on to a second public hearing on an alley closure. And this was a petition submitted to us by Jeff and Cindy Harbison. And Cindy is here. Do you want to give a brief description of your petition, why you want this alley closed or vacated, sorry?
Sure. The alley is between both of our commercial properties we purchased. One we purchased a few years ago, and then we purchased the remaining buildings behind our business. And so there's nothing you can drive through, as there's a sidewalk there, and just for safety reasons, and just to create also a bit of a, maybe a little outdoor seating area, bistro area eventually for the store that we're opening, kind of bring some community activity there. Primarily, it's just because it's just this narrow path between our two properties.
Oh, you talked about right over here.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not
okay.
used for anything else. But
Okay, thank you. And in the hearing for this, there is an allowed time for any property owners that might be aggrieved by this. You are the property owner on both sides of the alley surrounding it, so I'm assuming you don't aggrieve your own petition.
that's correct.
And then, so we just need a statement from staff, and I asked, in an email requested from Pete and George if there were any issues from the town's perspective on adverse effects on the town by closing this alley. So, George, you wanna go first?
Yeah, so the only thing that I saw is it's only the closure between 39 and the post office area, right? Because the actual alley continues all the way up through, so it's only that portion that we would be closing, right?
I don't know of any other alley, I believe it.
Because it's supposed to continue on, that particular alley continues on across, I think, it goes up behind the store.
Behind the grocery store.
Yeah, behind the grocery store.
Yeah, the alley is contiguous into the western addition,
Right.
here, but, they're just talking about from
Just that
39
section, yeah.
over to the alley that supplies the post office, where
Yeah.
people park for the post
So,
office.
and we already have, I think there's, our sewer is on there, where they come off, I think there's a lateral back there, but the lateral's on their property, so I don't see any issues from a sanitary sewer standpoint,
Okay,
other than.
all right. And Pete?
I didn't see any issues, not on her particular
Yeah.
alley.
Okay.
She needs.
All right, so the next part in this hearing would be a vote from the town council. This is town property that we're giving up, so, or discussion, if anybody has questions or thoughts on giving up this property.
Giving it up, we're just shutting it down.
We're vacating the alley, which means that right now, the town owns it, but we are giving it to the owner if we vacate it.
Yeah, the owner on either side would get half basically to the center line, but since they own both properties, it's just gonna go to them.
I don't see no problem with it. We don't do anything with it. We don't
Okay.
push snow or anything like that.
And going back through, you know, records up at the recorder's office, we've vacated multiple alleys over the years. So this is kind of in that same mindset where we're not using, there aren't utilities in that area. There's not, you know, access to another set of buildings that we would need that alley for, or any of those kinds of things, so. but-
Yeah, it has not been a usable alley anyway. I mean, nobody ever drives down through there, so it's not really been anything that's been usable. So I don't see why we would wanna keep it.
Okay. All right, anybody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to vacate the alley.
Okay, got a first motion,
I'll second.
second motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Okay, motion carries, so alley is vacated. We have to draw up, an ordinance, correct, Graham, stating that that's what we've decided. From all the other things I saw at the records office, it was an ordinance that allowed us to,
Yes, and I guess my only question is there a legal description for the portion of the alley that we're vacating, or how are we identifying that versus what George described as an extension of the alleyway?
yeah, I'd have to look through, I can go to the records office and see if they have a plot plan for that section, or the assessor's office. And that,
We submitted a visual, there's an aerial.
yeah, and, I mean, like, when you look on Beacon, it gives you a picture of it, but Beacon states this is not a legal description of the property, so I see what you're saying, but I can,
Yeah, just so it, you know, if the recorder's office thinks one thing and that wasn't your intent.
sure,
Thank you.
okay? We'll work on that. Alright, so I will close our public hearings and reopen our regular business meeting. Our first item on here is the IMGIS proposal. Last month, we had a proposal to help us with our keeping track of our sewer systems, our streets and sidewalks, our wastewater treatment plant, things related to zoning. And the proposal they gave us was for basically access to a website platform. And they had given us that cost of $8,000 for the first year, which included all the setup, and then $3,000 every year after. In looking at this proposal, I talked to George some about whether or not he felt like this would be useful for sewer and wastewater, and George, you wanna speak to what your thoughts on that were?
Yeah, it certainly would help from the perspective of keeping a history. I've certainly been operating the facility for a long time. A lot of notes are in my head and things have gone by, but to get something centralized would be nice. And then, just to know when we've actually repaired something or done something, it could come in very handy on that aspect of it. So it's not just anybody can get access to it at that point then.
Okay, and in talking with Jenny, we kind of were batting around the idea of half of the fee coming out of the sewer plant operating fund, and then half of the fee coming out of our motor vehicle highway funds. That fit with your
Sure.
thoughts on this plan?
Yeah, I think so.
And then, Pete, you also were involved in kind of looking at the proposal, and with your work here, as assistant town, manager and, town maintenance, person, you wanna give your thoughts on this?
You said that it would include like stop signs, speed limit signs, yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Anything
Yeah.
and everything. Anytime
Yeah.
we touch something, you can document it and then it's all centralized.
Right, so it would be a very helpful, record keeping, but also even work orders. I mean, one morning a couple weeks ago, we found a stop sign at 500 and Iowa had been run over.
Right.
So Pete found it and fixed it himself, but if Pete wasn't in the position to fix it and he had somebody else who could do that, he could put in a work order and that person could get it and go fix it that day, or, those kinds of things, so.
And I can't remember, they inventory that stuff, all the signs and all the,
Yeah, and setting it up, we would give them some maps and we could give them, all the information we want. And even if they miss something, we can add it, or the persons that they give permission to do that. We wouldn't want everybody to have access to doing that, but like George and Mindy and Pete and, whoever else might be functioning as, no, I don't want that. So we could add stuff if we decided, when we get another set of doubles built or we get another area, we can add stuff in on that software ourselves, and they can assist with that or just let us do it ourselves, however we do that, but yeah. In front of you, I added something to this proposal, with, watching the gentleman give the presentation last month. He had that iPad in his hand and was doing all those things. He said that a tablet a lot of times is easier to do this. You can take it out in the field and add those things or do work orders or those kinds of put information in. And so with our Staples account, we can get an iPad, 12.9 inch screen, for $129, and then I also priced out a Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy tablet. That was $229.49. The IMGIS tech support guy said usually iOS works better for their software, but Android will work if you need it, or Windows will work also. So you could even take the laptop out of the manager's office and go do stuff with it on there, as long as you had, a Wi-Fi access point. So that was just my thought, is add add 2 tablets so that our office staff, whether it's our town manager or wastewater treatment plant folks, can take those and go out and do the work on that site in the field. Those are not have-to-haves, they're just something I was thinking about.
I think it'd be a good idea.
Okay? And Jenny got a couple of discount coupons today from Staples, so we might even be able to get a little bit knocked off of that.
do we wanna have one that's got its own hotspot, that's on the internet, has data? Cause if you're out in the field doing this stuff, you need data right then, right?
You can add Wi-Fi pretty easy.
We have accounts with AT&T and Verizon.
Yeah, I know, like, my phone, I have unlimited, so I can turn on my hotspot and do things, but, I didn't know if we had the ability. I felt like the cost of making those a cellular service pad might be more expensive than what we wanna do.
You can get the MiFi for free though.
Okay,
Can you do that? Can you add stuff on there offline if you're not, like, you can add it in and publish
then
it
when you get
later type thing?
I don't know how that would work with their
So
software.
MiFi's
It's
are $30
possible.
a month.
Okay,
It's free.
I think if we have two tablets or whatever, one of them should be live if you're out and about. Cause that's pretty important to be live right where you are, I think. So.
yeah, we can look into that cost also and try to get that done. Any other discussion? Do we want to move forward with purchasing this service from IMGIS and the tablets? We wanna go with just IMGS for now and research more information on that Wi-Fi idea, or what do you guys wanna do?
I think we should get the tablets and then figure out how we wanna get the internet to those at a later time, soon.
Okay, any other thoughts?
I'm in agreement with Steve.
Alright,
Yeah,
alright,
I'm a go.
let's, have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the IMGIS and two iPads to go with it.
Okay, have a first motion,
I'll second.
second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll contact IMGS, start setting that up. I don't know what the time frame is involved in getting that, all the maps into their software and such, but we'll start working on that. And
John said if he's gonna get the internet out in the field, he's gonna need a big spool. Wind up the wire.
Yeah.
all right, next on the agenda, town compost area. Leanne worked on some things and sent me a
I think I sent it to everybody.
Okay.
I hope I sent it to everybody. I meant to.
lot of good information on compost.
A lot of good information. I'm kind of torn between it because I think it would be a good idea, but it seems to be, not only kind of expensive to do it, but we would have to have a lot of volunteer work to process. You have to weigh all of the refuge that would come in, and you have to mix it and water it, and so it really talks like, you would have to have somebody to actually run it. We would have to pay somebody to run it weekly, and I'm just not real sure that we're there yet. I would suggest that first we do some sort of a survey to see if people are really interested in it before we really spend a lot of money to put gravel down there, and we'd have to have a cement slab, and so I just don't know if we've got the interest in it.
Okay, any other thoughts on it? So in my big focus on, asking about whether we could do this was because of, again, that regulated drain in Gilbert Woods. The homeowners are dumping lots of grass clippings in the regulated drain, and we have to stop that. So, I was hoping to give them kind of like, okay, here's where you can dump your grass clippings instead. I'll work on drafting a fairly kind reminder to those property owners that that's a regulated drain and they should not dump their grass clippings in it. And, but
Yeah.
we won't.
There's two
we won't
ways
go
you
with
can
this.
go with the composting, and there's one that's called a cold composting, where you just bring like your grass clippings in. But everything that I've read about that is, it's nasty. It gets to stinking
Okay.
and that's not the way that you really wanna do it.
Maybe we could get your husband to give a demonstration on how to cut grass, and then they won't do that.
He can do it at my house.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday.
Okay, all right, so we will,
Every week.
move on past, from the compost area. So, next is, quotes for snow removal. Were we able to get, a hold of a couple of landscape companies and find out?
You know, I totally forgot about it, to be honest.
Okay. All right, we can, hopefully we got some time before the next snow. We can try to shoot for next month on snow removal quotes. Just a couple of landscape companies that might be able to give us, here's what we would charge the town. Next one is a refund to the Gypsy Den for their business license fee. So, Judy was kind of championing this. She wanted to give them their $25 back.
And I did find the, I
Receipt.
didn't find the receipt, but I found the receipt. I didn't find the little receipt, but I found the receipt in my book where I had deposited the $25, so they did pay the $25 for it.
Okay, any discussion on giving that money back to the Gypsy Den?
No problem.
Okay. All right, we got a consensus that we can give their $25 back. All right.
Circling back around to the snow removal.
Yeah.
I know it seems like it's gonna be a while before we get snow, but a lot of those people are already, like in August, they start planting their snow, so we might like think about being ready to pull the trigger pretty quick on that. Just my 2 cents being in it the last few years. So,
Okay. All right, we'll pester Pete next week with a reminder that he's gotta get these done. New business, first up I have Mike Utterback from NFP Insurance. Mike, thanks for being here. He's taken over our account from Kevin Hill, who got promoted up to something else, right? So,
Yeah, he took-
you wanna introduce yourself and?
Mike Utterback, I'm from Crawfordsville, I work for NFP, been in the insurance business for 37 years. Like I said, I was smart enough, I'd do something else, but anyway, I've taken over a few of Kevin's accounts. And have you all been presented the renewal and stuff already?
We did that in June, right?
Yeah.
Well, I left you my card. This kinda how I do is, if you got a question, call me. I'll return your call. If I don't answer, shoot me an email, whatever you wanna do. And I don't care if it's Saturday or Sunday. Kinda 24/7 anymore. But brother, you not call me at 10 o'clock last night. Like,
Had a conversation with the adjuster with your company today about the damage to the wastewater treatment plant tank, and they've been kind of scratching their head over that. So have we, but
yeah,
I,
quite honestly, my first thoughts of that would be kind of a stretch for coverage, honestly. Just from.
I will mention that since we're on this subject, George, we need to get those pictures that you took of the damage to the adjuster.
Okay.
If you could email those to me.
Yeah, I'll send
when
them
you
to
get a chance.
Yeah,
He
sure.
said it wasn't a huge hurry, but he'd like to get the
Oh, yeah,
pictures.
yeah.
So you can look at them. And that way we can move forward with that, but.
If there's any way I can figure out to get coverage I wanna get it covered because I like happy clients, I don't like mad clients, and, I kinda enjoy fighting with adjusters sometimes too.
Okay.
Kinda fun.
Well, at first, then, when I mentioned earthquake on that same day that we noticed the damage, they were kinda like, they said, we've never heard of this before, so we have to figure out how do we even assess that?
Yeah.
Is this related to an earthquake or not? But we'll figure it out.
We had a lot of rain too, along with that.
Same day, 3 inches of rain, so we were at capacity down there with our,
Would hydrostatic pressure cause that? by chance?
They're designed not to do that,
Yeah.
but, you know,
That would make more
Supposed to be
sense,
empty.
that'd make more sense to me than an earthquake.
all right, thank you. Next on the agenda, I had playground equipment. The lady, Pete and I met with a designer from playgroundequipment.com, and she went out to our park and we walked around, she measured, and we talked about some of the things that we wanted to see happen out there. She felt like she could work with us in giving us a proposal that would have small incremental changes so that we could do this over more than one budget cycle. And her designers have not finished putting that proposal together, so I apologize, I don't have that to give to you yet, but she said hopefully by the end of next week she'd have that to us, and then we can talk about it next month. But she was pretty excited about the project that, you know, we had out there. She felt like she could work within our budget without any problem. Like she didn't think she was gonna go over the budgeted amount that we told her, so.
We don't have to do it ourselves.
Right. She said,
It
no,
won't get billed.
she said from a liability standpoint, she likes her crews to install it just so that she knows that it's been installed the way it's supposed to be, so. That's what she said. But, Pete, did you have anything you wanted to add on that?
What did we agree on the width, 25 feet, adding on to it?
She was going to get back to us on how much, cause she didn't want us to add too much, and then we'd have to mulch an area bigger than we need. So she said when she finishes her design, she'll tell us how many feet over. It was gonna be close to 25 feet, but she wasn't for sure. So we don't,
That'd be a cool job designing that.
when we get that from her, we'll know how much we have to add on that north side.
And that was rubber mulch, right?
Rubber mulch. Yep. All right, so we'll move on to, next item is job descriptions. I sent out, job descriptions for wastewater treatment plant operator and assistant operator, town maintenance supervisor and town manager. And then, for I need to kind of, modify our town manager job description and include an assistant town manager job description, but we need all these job descriptions in place for the wastewater treatment plant asset management plan that SRF requires, and so we're trying to move forward on this. So George, you looked at
Yeah.
wastewater treatment plant operator and assistant operator?
Yeah, and for both of those, the main operator and assistant got some concerns, based on current practices that I need to get resolved and kind of feedback to you and get some, clarity on that before we move forward too much, so. If it's okay, I'd like to have that opportunity.
Okay, so we have some edits to those two, so we'll, did anybody else see any issues in those documents that they wanted to edit or work on? Pete, did you see anything with the town manager or town maintenance supervisor that you thought needed to be modified, or those kind of cover? So when, Graham, my question on these, when we adopt a job description, I mean, it's not an ordinance, right? It's just like, how do we formally say, these are now our,
I think you could just consent to it.
Okay.
Just post it.
alright.
Frankly, I think you could do it even by email, and I know that needs to be,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
alright. Alright, well, we can table that until George and I get the kinks worked out of our wastewater treatment plant operator and assistant operator ones. We have, the list is pretty extensive for all the things that we have to have for that. We have to have training manuals and safety manuals and how to handle complaints and all that stuff. So we'll work on that over the next couple of weeks. Get back to everybody in an email. We just talked about the south tank, damage at the sewer plant. Did anybody have any other questions on that, or? As far as, we kinda put a Band-Aid on that, right, George?
Yeah, we put a Band-Aid, did you end up getting a bill for that from the guys, or,
Yeah, I got a bill from,
okay,
for $17.50.
okay. That's, for what it was, I mean, it was pretty serious, cause I got down there, showed up, and it was like, oh no, we're gonna be in trouble here quick, so, you know, I called James, cause it definitely affects him, and he hurried down, and then, the other company guy that was over there, he actually happened to be there, came over to see what was going on, and we all put our heads together and scratched real quick and come up with a Band-Aid system, if you will, but it's holding and keeping it from collapsing.
Well, I didn't want to say in front of him, I'm not sure if it's still effective, but when you said earthquake, I know I've got earthquake insurance I've had for years. So I know a lot of times if you don't have insurance for a specific thing, it don't cover it, so I didn't.
In our NFP coverage does have an earthquake rider in it, so if they were to determine that the earthquake caused that damage, it would be covered by
Okay.
that. Because there was also this 3-inch rain that night as well, there could be either way, but still, if there's damage due to that sudden event,
Yeah.
and that's what the adjuster that talked to me today was, if the damage can be pinpointed to this sudden event, it's covered. If we determine it's wear and tear, then it might not be covered, and that's one of the things that they are gonna try and determine, but,
Did they bring in an independent person to determine that?
they do, yes. Yep. It's an engineering company. I can't remember the name of it. I can do that for everybody, but, anything else on South Tank? Next item is June, cleanup follow-up day, or follow-up for the June cleanup. Everything seemed to go fairly smooth out there when
Yeah.
we were, working.
Yeah.
Pete was running around with that backhoe,
I haven't gotten the bill yet.
scratching thing, no
No.
bill.
Well, that's good.
There was a tire that got like left over there. I remember seeing that tire, but somebody picked it up and
Well, it's over by
got it.
the dumpster behind the town garage.
Oh, okay,
I took it over there.
alright, but, you know, it didn't seem like there was as much stuff,
Right.
you know, piled up on the
Yeah.
dumpsters overnight.
And we did ask a lot of people, do you have proof that you live in town? Do you have the sewer bill or something? So I don't know if that helped or not.
It definitely was a lot better than the smoother than the
Yeah.
last time, for sure.
Yeah.
Alright, very good. Next I have on here, I might combine a couple of things with fire department, staffing and equipment. I know with talking with Chief Russell, he had talked about the turnout gear needs. I reached out to our grant writer and FEMA representative. Our grant writer felt like there's a very good chance of getting a significant amount of money from FEMA for that. He kind of steered me away from working with him on it because his fee, he said, he would take so much of that amount that he didn't want to. He wanted the majority of that FEMA grant to go to your turnout gear. So he kinda gave me some hints on like things that they look for and what to do, but he said that we could do that, so if, I don't know if, you have an equipment person that you want to help work with me, or, Kristen from your treasurer, she and I see each other quite a bit at the hospital, so.
Oh, okay.
But, the grant page on the FEMA website is closed right now because they're currently awarding their last cycle of grants, but they said as soon as it's open again, you'll see it on the website, and then we can fill that out. It's much easier, according to the gal I talked to on the phone, from FEMA, so now you just can fill it out all online and submit it rather than having to do things, so, I didn't know how many sets of turnout gear you might need, but like I said, we can work with somebody, at your department together, we can kinda figure out what we wanted to shoot for on that, but they said that our department here is, you know, the perfect kind of department that they wanna award this grant to, because it's a small, you know, rural department and stuff, so. I also checked with Firehouse Subs Foundation, I don't know if you've ever
I
looked
know
into that.
Playfield got a grant a long time ago through them.
Yeah.
So, I haven't looked into that for us yet, but.
I know on according to their webpage, they give about 3% of their total, revenue towards the actual buying of equipment and stuff for fire departments, which I didn't realize it was that high for that company. I always thought it was kinda more like the name thing, but they actually, you know, put their money where their mouth is, so to
That's
speak,
good,
and
yeah.
give lots of money back to fire departments. So I was trying to see if we could do one of those grants also.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Since I've already kind of pulled you out of the crowd here, do you wanna go over anything else with the fire department, or, you know, you gave us your,
Well, our ambulance got pushed back to January because of all the, like Ford having all their issues with their production and the computer chips and all that stuff, so. It was originally gonna be the fall, then they said August, so we were pretty excited about August, and then now they're saying push it all the way back to January, so. Which is alright, I mean, we kind of planned on it to be towards the end of the year originally anyway, so. It is what it is, nothing we can really do about it, but so far all our stuff is holding up pretty well, so, really, there's not a whole lot, I mean, we're on track, you know, 6 months in, we're about where we were last year, runs and stuff like that. We opened up 24-hour shifts through the end of August just to kind of supplement some mutual aid, like Plainfield coming in here a lot, so we're, we usually fill those 24-hour shifts so far. We did all of June, do July and August, so kind of see where we're at. But really nothing other than that, just taking runs and that's about it.
I got a question for you, don't run. I know you guys make a lot of runs down towards the interstate. How much problem is that now with all that crazy stuff going on down there?
It's challenging, so yeah, I went on a run yesterday, and I've been, a couple weeks since I've been down there, and it's all just a little
Well,
confusing.
I came back from Mooresville today through Greencastle Road, and I was totally, you go to the left side of the road, back to the right side of, oh, that is so,
It's confusing, I told
Yeah.
my wife that it's gonna,
yeah,
that's how it's gonna be, you gotta kinda get used to something.
yeah,
It's a little odd.
going the wrong side of the road.
yeah, they call it a divergent triangle, offset, so off-ramp.
Yeah.
So and supposedly from NDOT's website, it's supposed to cut down on the big semi trucks, backlog in making a right-hand turn. And so that's why they did that, but
They put one in Noblesville when I lived there by
Yeah.
Deer Creek, and it's fantastic. Once they get it cleaned up,
It worked
Yeah.
pretty well.
oh, they're awesome. Yeah, once you figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already cut traffic down 5 o'clock coming off the interstate. It's already cut it way down.
Well, I think instead of a roundabout, we ought to get one of them then.
Let's do that.
Here in town?
Yeah.
do it.
And it looks intimidating, but.
It
Yeah.
does. Once they get it all open,
Yeah.
you have all the lanes and everything,
Yeah.
I think you guys are gonna love it.
Yeah, good.
All right, well, thank you, chief.
Yeah.
Hey,
Uh,
this is another grant real quick for fire department. Have you heard of the Lurie Foundation? Oh, yeah, I have. They do a lot of fire department stuff. Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked into that one yet. Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, pond, proposal, the company that takes care of treating the algae in our pond here on Michigan Stevens Pond, it was really overgrown with algae in June. And so he had to come out and treat it twice. And he made some suggestions on some things that would fix that issue, that would slow down the growth. And he said, as far as he can tell, that pond has not ever been dredged and, got the silt pulled back out of it and, like take care of the banks. And he said that if you hire an excavator company that would do that, they could come in and, fix up the banks of that pond and get the silt out, and that it would not grow algae as quick. He said to do that, you have to clear that with the clean water at the county. So I called Clean Water, and they gave me some of the rules and permits that we have to get to do that. So I hadn't gotten to the point of being able to actually call the type of excavating companies that clean out the pond, although I don't know if our own excavators here in Clayton know how to do that with a pond or not, but I can ask them. But I don't know what that'll cost, but that's just something that I was trying to work on. One thing that he did tell us, I asked him specifically, said I've read about like these barley straw bale things that you can put along the banks that will help keep the algae down also. And he said that he liked that, he loved seeing that when in some of the ponds he treats, when people do that, he said it saves him a whole lot of heartache. So didn't know if we wanted to look into that, purchasing some barley straw bale types of things to anchor into the banks and let it, as the barley degrades or decomposes, it releases the type of nitrogen and oxygen that prevents that algae growth. But, so I don't really have a proposal yet. I just was working on trying to do that, to clean that pond up a little bit. We had some erosion in the banks on the west side too that might need to be repaired anyway, so. But. All right, next item on the agenda is transfer of funds. Jenny.
Okay, I have, transferring $250 from operating supplies to street signs and posts to cover the banner posts that we got. And then I went ahead and transferred $132 from repair and maintenance in the general fund, that was in motor vehicle highway, in the general fund to cover the rest of the sewage bill, since we raised the sewer bill after we already had the budget set. So it's $250 in motor vehicle highway and $132 in the general fund.
Well, I make a motion that we transfer that $382 of the funds for Jenny.
Okay, got a first motion?
I'll second.
Got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Speaking of the signs and the signposts, when the semi truck showed up to deliver the signposts that we ordered to put up the new speed limit signs and things, we didn't really have a good way of unloading them, and so I just wanted to say thank you to D&D Auto. They came over with their forklift and unloaded the equipment for us and then set it by the town garage, so just wanted to give them a shout out. Thank them for sharing their forklift lift with us for free, they didn't charge us.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the food pantry, we talked last month about how they, the fire marshal dinged them on some fire code violations, and one of them was the doorknob. So when they have the doorknob locked, you can't get out from the inside without making sure to stop and take time to unlock it. And so they have to be able to exit without stopping to think about that doorknob. So I was kind of looking at the fact, you know, with our setup here, the type of doorknob we have on town hall and out at the park, those are locked, but you don't ever have to unlock them to get out. So I was kind of talking to Jenny about, can we switch those door handles to that type and be in compliant with what the fire marshal wants, and then they'd also have a keypad where they don't have to worry about now like who has keys. They can give each volunteer a code, and if the volunteer stops volunteering, they can purge the code, right? You just delete the code. So those were some thoughts and then Jenny also mentioned, well, if we're switching out doorknob at the food pantry, what if we do the same at the garage across the street? So what does everybody think about that idea? Matt, since you're kind of the expert on this type of door
I would buy the
handles,
same thing, that way it's in the same software.
Okay,
But while you're talking about keypad for that door at the pantry, I don't know if, I'm not there no more, but that's an awful old door down there. I don't know if you'd want to replace that door and put like a door like you got here, or a metal door.
I don't know anything about doors, but
Oh, I
there's a
know.
lot.
But
Pete, you had your hand up. You got a thought on that?
We've got two of those locks, Matt, in the town garage, brand new, still in the box. Remember we got them, and I was gonna put one on the town garage several years ago, but the deadbolt hole, it wouldn't cover the hole in the doors, the reason we didn't do that. So, I don't know if we'd have to replace the door.
You can put a plate over it too.
Okay, but we already got the locks.
We have two locks
Yeah.
at the town garage,
Yeah.
and they work on the same
They're just
software.
like those.
It's these, okay.
But
And
then,
then, now, one question that got brought up to me, our deputy clerk told me that her code for this door also gets her in at the park. Is that on purpose, or,
Yeah,
so,
I programmed it that way.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know, with the one at the food pantry, would everybody that has access to this door also have access?
You
Okay.
can, select.
Alright, just checking. I didn't know if it, like the software,
Yeah, she
Yeah.
probably has access to every door.
okay,
I can't remember what I put up, but there's permissions for different people.
sure. Okay,
You can actually drill it down to time too, where their code only works from like 8 to 5. If you wanted to.
Mm.
alright.
Yeah,
That's how
they're-
mine at the school used to be. It
Yeah.
had to be school hours to get in.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Alright, well, if we can work on that, and we can maybe,
I would have the pantry email me when they want to take somebody out or add them. I can just go over there and do it when I'm working.
and then, like during their 5 to 7 time when they're going in and out, we can have it programmed to be
It's
unlocked.
unlocked, yeah. It'll automatically do that.
Okay.
Like the bathroom suit work.
Gotcha.
Like this one's supposed to do, but it doesn't cooperate.
Well, and then with, I mean, the time change throws those off too, though, right?
It shouldn't. It's set
Okay.
up for daylight savings. time,
Okay.
So,
Alright,
no, it shouldn't. Unless the battery for some reason had an issue, it shouldn't.
alright, well, that's good, so we don't have to purchase any new door locks. We'll evaluate whether or not the door will,
Well, if Matt says
Work
we
for
put a
it.
plate on it, I
If
guess.
you look at the one here, there, on the outside, there's a little metal plate above it.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah, it only has to be about that much tall.
Yeah, they put one on this one,
Okay.
and then one on my side too.
but you'd have to replace the doorknobs, right?
It is a
The
new
door
knob.
latches.
It's all new.
Oh, it's the whole
It's
thing.
all one piece.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but that will comply with fire code and letting it be an emergency exit, no matter what, even when it's locked, if somebody wants to get out, they don't have to worry about,
Twisting.
yeah. Okay, very good, well, that was much simpler than
Yeah.
what we thought, we had them at the town garage, that's good. Alright, next on here, quote for, painting the, town manager's office and the hallways. And I'm talking about both hallways, coming down this ramp and going up towards the bathroom. They're pretty dinged up and, kinda scuffed as far as the painting goes. I mean, this all started, I was trying to fix the water damage that was in that corner in the manager's office, and I got into more of a disaster than I thought I was going to. So the plaster has some areas where it needs to be filled in, so this, quote includes
Yeah.
him patching the damage to the plaster and then painting all of the manager's office area and then these two halls. And
That's the hole over there too.
you wanna,
There's a hole over there that's been there forever.
oh yeah,
Yeah. I don't care about repainting everything, there's a hole that has to be passed.
Does Jenny get to pick the color out?
The town manager, I don't
She's
have anything to
painting,
do
she
with
might as
it.
well.
He ain't.
I mean, I asked him
Yeah.
if, to try and match, you know,
Yeah.
the paint that's already up there, since, I mean, I didn't want it to be hot pink and then
Yeah.
have a line right here where.
Gosh.
But, so anyway, he, gave us a quote for $800, this Brad Angrick, gave us a quote for $800 for the repair of the plaster, and painting those areas. And I can ask him, I don't know how big that hole is, maybe he'll have enough left over to patch that.
It's about that big, it's right by the refrigerator and it's right here.
Okay, we can look at it, but, so, any questions on that quote of $800 for those areas?
So you need a motion?
I would, yes.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we accept that bid for $800.
Okay, have a first
Second,
and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll get to working on that. Next I have proposal for technology in the meeting room, and I gave you guys a little, Word document here. Jameson Consulting has helped
Yeah.
put up, you know, the technology here for our live stream on YouTube and using this room with the camera and the microphone. And I asked him about what are the possibilities of, you know, if we had a document that we're reviewing, that we could put it up on not only the screen here, but the people on the virtual audience could see that document on that YouTube screen, rather than just seeing it kind of off in the distance, like the camera would show that screen off in a distance, so they'd be able to see it up close, kind of thing. I also, after the presentation last month, you know, with the guy from IMGIS here, if he could have been able to just plug in to something in his presentation, show up on these monitors, that I thought that would have been an easier thing for us to see, rather than him walking around with his iPad and showing that. So he, Brian Jameson came in, looked at kind of the stuff we have, and went over, here's how much it would be. So he gave us two different, kind of split the proposal into two different parts. The presenter upgrade part, where the presenter would actually be able to just, you know, hook into something up here on the podium, and then their information would be up on the screen. That would be a cost of $975. That would include the hardware, as well as he would train me on how to switch things over, or anybody that wants to be part of that training can participate. It wouldn't be just isolated to me, but he would train us on how to use that. And then the other part of it would be that document switching from the screen that they see currently to, here's the document we're talking about, and then switch back, and that would be done by the person sitting here. They would be able to switch that back and forth. That was $480, and that would again include hardware and training. So I didn't know what everybody thought about the option to do that.
I think it's a great idea.
It's just a one-time deal, there's no monthly.
Correct. No monthly fees involved with that. Our YouTube channel, we don't pay anything for that either, as well as the current equipment. We're not paying a maintenance fee on that. These are just, one-time costs.
And Jenny, we have the money for that?
Well, we've got $10,000 in, annexation that we're not gonna use, so we could just transfer that over, I suppose. We're not gonna be annexing anything, are we?
I don't think we have anything this year. I know Rob has been talking to Mr. Brenneman quite a bit, and Rob feels like he's right on that, right on the cusp of it, of signing on the dotted line and saying, yeah, let's do this. So that is a potential, I guess, but I don't know that that would happen this year necessarily.
We also have $3,930 in cum cap for purchases and renovations, so we could use it there. We could use that also.
Well, I make a motion that we update the equipment.
Okay, you want both proposals or one or the other? or
Both of them.
Both of them, okay. All right, so. is that-
I'll second.
Okay, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll contact Brian this week and get him to start working on that. And, let's see if I'm, next, declaring some town property of no value. We have an old air compressor at the town garage. Pete replaced this last year, with a new compressor, just the old compressor's still sitting in there. So we wanted to get rid of that. And, with the project that's been going on in town with the manhole cover, replacements, in order for, Conco Solutions to get rid of the manhole covers and, other parts, they have to have permission from the town to do that. So we have, basically a letter from the town saying that they have permission, to get rid of that. So any questions on those two things that we're declaring of no value to the town? I couldn't remember, did we have to do a vote on that, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so a motion and a vote, so,
I make a motion that we declare the air compressor and the 4 manholes of no value to the town.
okay, got a first?
Second.
And second, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Pete, I'm gonna need, your signature on the one for the manhole frames and covers. You already signed the one for the, air compressor, so. And, paving bids for Pennsylvania Street. We talked last month, or had a request from one of the, citizens on, Pennsylvania Street and getting the rest of that paved. Wallace, Construction, that has done some paving for us in town before, and I talked, and then I also called Dwayne Lane at Lane Construction because I know he's going to need to pave that alley. And both Wallace Construction and Dwayne Lane said, the more area you're paving, the cheaper it is. So, they both felt like if we waited till Dwayne was ready to pave the alley and then we paved Pennsylvania at the same time, and they would just split, you know, the bill of here's Dwayne's section to pay and here's our section to pay. So I don't have an actual proposal yet because we wanna wait. Wallace Construction said it's a significant difference. Every ton that you go up buying asphalt is cheaper by a significant amount, so we're gonna table the Pennsylvania street bid until Dwayne's ready. He's currently in the process of, he has 16 doubles throughout Hendricks County that he's trying to get. He wants to kind of pull the trigger on all of them at the same time, so he's waiting to have all his ducks in a row for all those, but that's the only hold up he's got on building those doubles that he's been approved for. Any questions on any of that process then? Alright, Chief Oliphant, you're up next.
I've got a few things. We're still working through the new policies. We're about, I don't know, I meet every Monday, and we're maybe a quarter of the way through that, so it's pretty time consuming here lately for me. I will be hiring another police officer who's coming from Plainfield. He was reserved there. His name's Michael Cochran. They're actually dissolving their reserve program, so he wanted to come over and work for us. So I think they're gonna loan his radio to let him use it out here until we buy another one. And he will also have all of his equipment, so let him have all that. So it made sense to, if he wanted to come on board, we'll put him on. He's been there 23 years, so he'll be a good reserve for us.
The lady from FEMA, just so you know, she said that same grant, when we're applying for their turnout gear, I can also include, you know, police department radios or, you know, they said it's available for police fire equipment.
Okay.
So this particular grant. So if you want me to submit
Yeah, that'd be great.
stuff for,
You need quotes?
yeah, so
Okay.
whatever you wanna, look at,
Yeah.
and we can submit that all together when I'm doing the stuff for Liberty Township Fire Department. We can do the same thing for your
Okay.
police radios or what other equipment you
We
want.
could use at least 3 more probably.
Okay,
So,
alright, sorry to interrupt.
no, so, yeah, he'll be coming to be sworn in soon, later today, probably August 1st. That's what I'm
Okay.
thinking, but, he's still on there for a little while. But, so yeah, pretty excited about that. And the only other thing I have is the concert on the 31st, Gary Grubb, so. That'll start he's gonna go until about 10 o'clock. He wanted to play when it gets dark, so he's got a bunch of lights and stuff. So, yeah.
Have you noticed that the state moved the speed limit signs in front of my
Yeah.
house? That was,
Doug
they're
told
standing
me
by
about
the
it.
church
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So,
Doug, we posted and Doug told me about it.
okay. I didn't know it till today, I didn't realize it, it was gone.
Yeah, I was surprised the day they moved it. I mean, the customer service guy at NDOT had emailed me, probably a month and a half ago saying they were going to move it. And then I got a notice from the 811 people that they had
I
done
got one
the,
real quick, there's a domestic in town.
Yeah.
oh, sorry,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, it's not a
Gotta-
Pizza King, is it?
I don't know, it just says domestic in town, so I
Okay.
don't know.
All right.
I don't know where it's at. I'll find out though.
Okay.
Hurry back.
Alright, George, you're up next.
Just the one item, we had a meeting, just to bring the board up to speed on the, progress of the plant down there. Met with the, people doing the work and painters and everybody, and that's progressing not as fast as they wanted to because of all the rain delays, so it got pushed out to, the completion is the end of July, but they're looking to get it done by the middle of July. I think July the 15th is the target date at this point, if there's not a multitude of additional rain delays.
Okay, and I know they submitted, paperwork for payments from Graves Construction. And then Jason's here for the submission of payment for in situ form.
Mhm.
So if you're done,
Yeah, that
George,
was
we'll
the-
go to
that
Jason so that he can talk about his updates.
Yeah.
Alright?
Update on that is just, they finished all the original contracted work. So this pay app is for another 260,000, which brings the total to 580, which is about 115 less than the original contract price. So we're currently looking at ways to use that remaining budget, especially after what happened at that south wall. Try and find where we could kind of target major problem areas. But we don't have a time frame for that yet because it depends on what we choose to do with that remaining money.
How much money was it?
It's about 115. I don't have the exact amount in front of
Okay,
me, but
okay, that's
I
good.
can send you an email later if you want.
Yes, that would be helpful. So I know, part of our discussion on Tuesday, was talking about an area in town where we hadn't camera inspected yet. And, Brendan had his company come out and start that process. They were only able to get 83 feet along that pipe before they ran into an obstruction. So they had to pull back out. So they're gonna come back to me with a quote on jet cleaning and then camera inspecting that. That
That goes
115,000
to
could cover that.
Yes.
Cost
This
as
just
well.
has to be the same as the original work that was bid, and cleaning and televising was in the original, so.
Excellent, okay.
Yeah.
And, so then when we, get to working on, or when we make those decisions, we have to submit a change order to SRF for
Yes.
what we're doing.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, it'll need engineer, town, and contractor signatures
gotcha,
to approve it.
okay,
Yeah, and I also have an informal quote from you from a previous job we did on flow meters, cause you were looking into that.
oh, okay,
This is just, I think it was in Twin Lakes, but for them it was about 2,000 a month through this company, and they did a 3-month study at 6 locations, so it was 2,000 per location. But the company does all the maintenance work on those flow meters. They do the analysis of the data that they collect. So basically, you just tell them where you want it, and then they do the rest. But that's just from a past project. I was gonna
Yep.
call them tomorrow, try and get more information from them. But
okay.
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
that-
this, and, kind of bringing everybody up to speed that in situ form is done with all the liners. Unfortunately, George, has not noted any change in our INI. So our INI is still at the same level it was prior to doing any work.
It's behaving differently in that the way it ramps up and down, the levels are still there, so
Okay.
we've still got to find the culprit somewhere,
Yeah.
or
Okay,
culprits.
which,
If you're able to email some of that, like before and after, that
Yeah,
would probably be.
yeah,
pretty
that's what I'm
helpful.
trying to do now, is just to go back and look at the befores and map them with the afters
Try and figure out
and try to figure out
where the spike's coming from.
where and, yeah. So trying to do some flow analysis and say, it spikes like the one we got tonight, it spiked up pretty quick. So we had in about 10 minutes, we got a half inch of rain, I mean, it poured real quick.
Yeah.
And the flow meter went up, cause it's a full tank, right?
Yeah.
It spiked up immediately.
Turn the flow meter off.
Pretty interesting.
Turn the flow meter off.
I always double check that. I went out there to look with my eyes to make sure,
Yeah.
okay, it's really coming up, yeah, it's.
Okay. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
And I'm also gonna.
yeah, so before we decide, how to spend that
Okay, I just,
15,000 extra that we have, we wanna make sure that we've really assessed
Is that?
all of these areas
Yeah,
that
that's the
are,
same one.
okay, so this is the
Still
one that I just
clearly
was
problem
sent to
areas.
Yeah.
SRF tomorrow for the 259.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. I mean, I suppose you could, but they put. Oh, that is what's left, is 103,000.
Okay.
Plus what we had, contingency for, but they put it in additions and not deductions.
Okay, well, I'll just put a
Yeah.
little arrow right there.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Alright.
All right, anything else from you, Jason, on?
No, that's it, unless you guys have any questions.
No, thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right, so Pete, you're up next.
Okay, I give you those proposals on the guidelines for the Lambert Park. I believe in the original, under cancellations, the last sentence said that the bathrooms can be locked between the hours, or unlocked between the hours 8 AM and 6 PM. I think that could be deleted due to the new locks that we have now, because it automatically does it. You know.
Yeah.
they don't
Right,
expect
yeah, that makes
rent.
sense, take
Yeah.
that sentence out,
And
since,
then, under picnic tables, I added, I believe it was the third sentence in that paragraph. They can move the tables, but to put them back in the original pattern,
put them back how you found them,
yes.
yeah. And then, anything else on the, I know there's still a sign up there at the park that says the park is open from,
Dawn to
Dawn to dusk.
That's right.
but we, I mean, is that,
And that's one of those new signs that, Ryan Rash had made, right?
Ryan or Shelley, one of them.
Yeah. Are those the one that you wanted covered, like during concerts and stuff like that?
well, I don't remember there being an actual rule in the ordinance that says it is only open from
I don't remember either.
dawn till dusk, so I didn't know if, do we really need that sign there? And we have events that go
Right.
past, and we have lights out there for purpose of
Right.
having events past
Yeah.
sunset. So I didn't know if that was,
Well, we can take them down, but
Take them down, give them to Shelley. I think she's the one that ordered them.
so and part of what Pete was also wanting to do with this guidelines list is to actually put them up on a sign at the park, so that they, not only do they have them in a hard copy when they sign the paperwork with Jenny, but they have a reminder up on the wall down there at the park on
And we
these
got a coupon today from
staples, right?
Oh, I
They're-
thought maybe for another lit sign.
No.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, this
John.
would just be
What will they do without us?
I assume a piece of plywood or a metal sign or something that they put up there, or
it could even be like on the. like
Poster
cardboard,
board.
that white.
Yeah,
like
on
poster
the
board.
Poster
And then
board,
put a piece of plexiglass over the top of it.
yeah.
sure,
You know,
something
We'll
like that.
Yeah,
that
we
could
can
look at.
fix something up and take it over to
Right.
Staples or something.
and then I have one other question I was gonna ask Steve on this, and I apologize for getting about the snow removal. Does that mean that the maintenance will no longer do the snow removal, or this would be backup? As far as.
I think we talked about salting, and if they're gonna salt, they're gonna plow
Right.
too.
Okay,
I
so-
think that's what we decided last
Okay.
time.
Would they also be doing the road back to the sewer plant?
Yeah, I mean, we can set it up for whatever we want them to do.
Okay.
I'm
and
sure
then-
they probably let us figure the triggers and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So,
so I'll tell them what is it, 5.67 miles of streets in town, plus the sewer plant. And then a lot of times the county, for whatever reason, doesn't do 500 from Michigan Street into town. I've been plowing that too. And I heard that goes way back, the reason they don't do that. But.
Well, it's technically in the town
Right,
limits.
The county used to do it.
Do they?
As they came through town to go on their county roads, they
Yeah.
just went ahead and did it.
Yeah.
So I
But
just
George's-
include all that.
Ex-father-in-law calls that George. I'm not trying to start anything, George.
All right, anything else, Pete?
No, that's it.
We need to work on, setting up a job posting and
Right.
interviews for a new town maintenance person, so.
So if we get somebody set up on this snow removal, are we gonna try to sell what equipment we have? The blade and all that, or are we gonna hang on to all that stuff?
Oh, I thought we were still gonna do some of that.
Yeah, that's,
I thought we talked about somebody just basically doing the intersections. Well, you're gonna have to put a hell of a lot of money in the budget if you think you're gonna pay someone to do all the,
Probably minimum $100 an hour.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and we only have 2,500 in there, and that's not gonna do anything.
Not even gonna touch it.
Uh-uh.
I mean, I had originally envisioned, you know, our maintenance person trying to do the bulk of it, but like on that day you spent 11 hours out plowing.
Gonna have someone
that
help.
you needed some help.
Yeah.
Is, you know, that we wanted to give the, whoever the maintenance person ends up being, that they can call in some help in, you know, crunch times or times when it's, you know, that overwhelming kind of a snow day.
Well, yeah, like if you was able to have two people, one could be doing the UTV on the sidewalks while the other one's, you know, pushing the streets or, anything would help.
I see something that'd help, cause I rode with Pete a couple times. When you come to each intersection or cross street, you make about 5 to 8 passes pushing the snow out of that intersection each
Right.
way.
Yeah, you gotta back up.
You gotta keep going instead of being able to just go straight each way, north, south, and east and west.
But if you don't do that, it leaves furrows.
Yeah, I know.
Especially if you have a big snow.
Yeah,
The issue was that we don't have a salt thrower.
right, yeah.
That was
Right.
what started the whole thing. So
Right.
you'd have to find a guy that's willing to come in and throw salt. I don't know what kind of luck we're gonna have with that. Cause then he's gotta work on your schedule
Right.
and he's gotta
Yeah.
come salt when you
And see, a
plow.
lot of these people that does that for a living, they got big accounts, you know.
Right, that's why you'd have to find a guy that does it on the side, but
Right.
I don't know
Yeah.
how that's gonna work.
I know one guy that does it on the side. I can ask him if he'd be willing to just salt and see what happens. Cause he, you know, I don't know how much snow removal he does anymore, but he used to do it in the past, but that's not his major thing. He's a construction, you know.
All right, well, we'll, keep working on that and, call around and talk to some people and find out
Okay.
what's possible. All right, anything else from any of the town council members? Ian?
Yeah,
Okay,
since Nick from D&D come down and unloaded those for us, he had one request he wanted me to bring up. I said, okay, I'll bring it up for you then. They'd like to, him and Rob would like to revisit the 3-way stop sign down there, since traffic has increased more in town. I said, I'll bring it up to them, so. They said they'd like to revisit that, so. I've done my deed.
okay.
What's your
And they're-
thoughts on it?
Huh?
Talking about the
What's your
stop
thoughts?
sign at
Okay.
500 and Iowa, or
Yeah,
0.
yeah. What's my thought on it?
Yeah.
Well, here lately, traffic is on 39 and every road has been horrendous. I mean, I don't know where everybody's going and coming from.
Nobody's working.
Yeah, getting extra money.
Still getting unemployment.
But to be honest with you, the more I thought about it, if you did do it, you know, of course, you could have a sign before you got to the stop sign, you stop ahead like we've got some already. I think people get used to it. I didn't think I'd ever get used to that four-way stop up there on 39 and 200 and at Cartersburg Road, but you do.
Well, some days I don't take my Predigen and I go on through.
Yeah, well, but that's,
Some days I take mine and I go on through.
yeah, personally, I think it would be a good idea. I would go for it now.
Okay, now the stop sign would be where Tennessee comes in to zero.
No, there's
Going-
already a stop sign at Tennessee
Well, I know.
trying to
but
get
I
on
mean,
to
would there
zero.
be one on zero going south at Tennessee Street? You know what I'm
No,
saying?
Not at
no,
Tennessee.
No, right
at
before you get,
500.
right before you get to
So right
500.
on the corner there,
Coming into town. Coming
Well-
from 40?
And going south both ways.
Well, that'd be a four-way stop.
No,
The condos are
here's,
there.
here's,
If you have one here and one here and one
Here-
here and
here's-
one here,
here's-
there's four
here's-
of them.
here's 500 going this way, going west.
That is 4.
Yeah,
Okay, and the
if
pe-
my math is right.
No, right here, there's a stop sign right here, coming off Tennessee Street.
Yeah,
Okay, we're talking about a stop sign here and over here. You already, but you got one here. When you come this way, you stop. You would go south, you would stop before you turn or go south.
you come
And
down
if
by
you're
the
coming
bank, you're gonna
north-
stop.
Hmm?
You're coming down from the bank, you're gonna stop.
Right.
Right,
You're just barely gonna get down the hill and you're gonna stop again.
yeah.
Have we had calls out there or something? Is there a problem?
I'm
Why
sorry,
they-
my opinion is I think
Well, I'm
it's
just-
ridiculous.
Why are they
That's
want-
just
That's
my
why we're
opinion.
talking about it.
What's their, why are they wanting to visit again? What's happened that's made them think of it?
How many wrecks have happened down there since we talked about it before?
Probably none.
But I mean, what's made them think that?
They
They
just,
wanted it the first time and they didn't get it.
that's all I could say, I would imagine, but I just, that's what we're talking about.
But we don't have any calls down there, so I don't understand why. I mean, that was, isn't that
And
what-
my thing was like, my friend that's a bus driver, she said she's barely gonna get through the four-way stop and go down the hill and have to stop again, and
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think, and that is
Well,
four
that's
ways,
what-
that's not three ways.
I'd wanna hear why they say that. That's what I'd wanna hear.
Well, okay, I'll tell them to come to the next
See
meeting.
what they're, I mean, they may
Yeah.
know something I don't.
Yeah.
well, like,
I just
I
told
know
him
what
I would say it since he brought his fork truck down for us to use. I said, I'll tell him. Revisit.
with, like,
Even-
for the example, NDOT, before they decided to move that speed limit sign,
Yeah.
they came and they had a traffic engineer sit in the parking lot at the Christian church for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And they studied the traffic flow. They looked at where our sidewalks start and congestion of, cars turning in and out of the church and the apartments and those kinds of things. And that was what the customer service guy, when he emailed me on, hey, we're moving this speed limit sign 800 feet south, here's why. And those were the things he pointed out.
Yeah.
So the same kind of idea would need to be done in this intersection, is we would need to hire a company that does traffic studies. This wouldn't be NDOT because it's not a state road, but we would just find a company that does that and say, can you study this intersection and tell us, give us your assessment of what needs to happen here? And then we wouldn't have, it wouldn't be just our opinion versus their opinion, it would be, you know, a
Yeah.
professional who, that's their job, is to assess that kind of an idea. And, you know, when we looked at it before, Matt went back in the history and couldn't find any incidents of crashes in there. Obviously, we had some kind of incident a few weeks ago with that person who ran over the stop sign, but they even left their bumper.
But they left.
They left their bumper for us, but, so we replaced the stop
Yeah.
sign. But that was,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know when that happened.
Well, Rob, according to Rob, somebody had seen that there was a woman with a kid in the back seat, and she was obviously on something. She was all over the road, and she drove up on the sign, got out and looked, got back in her car and drove the rest of the way over and left.
You know, and I was thinking too, you talked about the NDOT guy being parked down there.
Mm-hmm.
It'd been nice if he'd had a radar gun that day. He could've- Yeah, that makes sense to me, doing it like that, then there wouldn't be any,
Yeah, they wanted to
Easy.
say, yeah.
yeah.
So I could call around or Pete could call around and see what, there are lots of companies that do these traffic studies, they put those little rubber hoses across the intersections and count cars and that kind of stuff, and we
Yes.
could
If
get a
you
price
have
on
there
how much it
something.
would cost to do a study on this intersection. Alright, anything else on that?
That's all I had.
Okay, anything else from you, Steve?
No,
Here's
Jenny?
those SRF request
Money.
forms that we have to, okay.
Everybody
just-
needs,
Yeah,
we have to-
nobody, you signed one of them over here, but
we
we
didn't,
just need to okay them.
okay.
Yeah, cause
So-
they're not on the monthly thing.
In situ form, GRW and Grace are wanting some of the payout from the SRF loan, and GRW is looking for $23,913. In situ form, $259,623, and then Graves Construction, $60,502. So we just have to approve the payout from the SRF loan for these. They call it a buy down, right? Is that?
I think so.
how they refer to that?
This one too, Jenny?
Yes.
Pizza King.
did I miss one?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
She said
It-
if
it
your
hit-
name's on it, sign it.
It was hidden
Well,
underneath.
Their name is not on there, but you should know, after 2
All right.
years.
Can I get a motion on this payout?
I make a motion that we
All
pay
right.
out.
Got it first and second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we'll pay these
Yeah.
companies their money they want. Any objections to adjournment? All right, meeting adjourned at 8:26.